Dead by Daylight's newest killer, the Krasue, just dropped. She kills her chickens, and she kills her friends, and she kills fellow artists at night. Watch out, Kate. But will I be able to learn how to play within 10 hours of trying? So before we get started, I want to go over her perks, see what they do we like them, do we not like them. First perk is Hex Overture of Doom. When a survivor repairs the curse generator for 5 seconds, you gain the undetectable status effect, and your tear radius is applied to that generator for 30 seconds. The next perk is Ravenous. Whenever you hook a survivor for the first time, gain 1 token. When you have 4 tokens, all survivors scream and are inflicted with Exposed for 60 seconds. Third and final perk is called Wandering Eye. Whenever you start chasing a survivor, reveal the auras of all other injured survivors within 20 meters for 5 seconds.
Starting off, I wanted to get my adept done as quickly as possible. In my experience, doing the adept immediately when you get a new killer is the easiest because you can get baby lobbies, or in this case, when a new killer drops, they don't know how to counter you at all. But baby lobbies did not save me. I was very bad with head form. I would use it for no reason to catch up, then I would change right back to human form, and that would make fungus spread all over the map, and they would cleanse super fast. I would not be able to catch up with my power, and I was not getting any downs. Thankfully, by match 2, I had started to get the hang of it, and I got a couple of downs for it. I also realized that your leech actually also bounces off of objects, but also people. So if behavior were to nerf this the way I do think they will, by doing so that the leech status effect is actually removed when you get unhooked, this will be a great way to keep that leech status effect ongoing for every survivor without having to waste so much time and chase doing it. Although I was still not using head form correctly, I would rely on Regurgitate. I would not change the head form, I would not go after them in head form, I would just spit and run and M1. That is obviously tragic as this killer's power is very strong. However, this match ended with a 4K and I got my adept very quickly.
Nice, we got the adept, the Krasue. Merciless victory.
Nice job, team.
For the rest of this hour, I was seeing a lot of progress with my Regurgitate. Naturally and suddenly, I had taught myself when to switch and what the right times to switch were. I would land the hits, and this is something I didn't even notice that I had been doing wrong until right now. I also had my first experience with toxicity playing this killer, but as the serial reporter that I am, I took care of it, of course. But thanks to this very save-hungry 4-man SVF squad,
I'm hungry.
I got another one of my goals finished off very early in the challenge.
Thanks. I got the achievement, you got guts. Oh my gosh, we got it in hour 1. That means 2 goals have been finished in hour 1.
And then hour 2 was actually quite repetitive, to be honest. It was either win after win or tie after tie. But regardless, I felt a lot more confident on this killer. I would go for Regurgitate a lot more. I wouldn't be scared to go for shots too much. I would try to go for hits and it would pay off. Finally, I was taking advantage of headlong flight and head form to catch up to the survivors when they were far away, instead of slowly approaching them like I had done before. I also found that using head form and slowly infecting the survivors over time rather than going back and forth between the two forms constantly worked well for me and my playstyle. At some point, I'm gonna stop doing this later in the video because I looked at other people's tips and they told me not to do that it was better to constantly switch between the forms and be aggressive in that way, but that honestly did not work very well for me and I would rather just do this. And I honestly recommend that you try this too because they were constantly using fungus. I could switch as much as I wanted without thinking about how much fungus was on the map because they would use it to get rid of a little percentage of leech status effect. They wouldn't even realize that, oh, I'm not even infected, this is not an issue right now, I'm just wasting her time by having her hit me 5 times before I'm injured. I guess the lesson learned here is go for your own playstyle, learn your own tips and your own tricks, don't just do what everyone else is doing and what they tell you to do. Something else that I found super useful in this challenge, especially during this hour, was barbecue and chili. After hooking a survivor, all survivors who are at least 40 meters away from that hook have their aura revealed to you for 5 seconds. This was very useful to me in endgame because the person would not be able to get hatched when I had hooked the third person. And I think at best, this landed me a 13 4K win streak. And that's why the biggest tip I have for anyone that wants to play the Krasue and wants to play her well, use barbecue and chili. It's such a valuable perk for her. I would say probably the best perk you can use on her, at least in my very humble opinion.
Interesting.
In hour 4, barbecue and chili was still coming in clutch in endgame for me. However, at this point I noticed the pattern of survivors bringing 1 toolbox each. And specifically in this match, 4 gens popped in under 2 minutes and I literally had no chance of catching up.
Does not drop it.
Despite getting my lick back on the survivors and getting a couple hooks in endgame, it still ended with a 4-man out, which meant that my win streak had ended, and that honestly was a little bit sour. I'd never gotten this many kills in a row before, and I was really hoping to get a few more, but that's okay, you can't win every game. And then this became a pattern. The gens would be done stupid quickly and I'd have no way to catch up. It was like overnight, the Foreman SVF squads woke up from their naps and came together suddenly out of nowhere. But then came this gen efficient, save hungry, and uncoordinated team along, and it was like the pearly gates of heaven opened up for me. After this match and this win, I started getting wins again, and this challenge wasn't looking so grim and dark for me anymore, and I continued on with a bright smile. Just like last time when entering hour 5, I wanted to go ahead and look for some new information regarding this killer that I might not know already. Because the facts were, I was playing very good, I would say. But against better survivors who weren't crying that they hated this killer and were actually trying to counter her, I was struggling just a little bit. So I did the only thing that you can do in this situation. I headed over to YouTube. But then came the issue that I was assuming would happen with this killer. There were no, and I mean no, videos on how to play this killer. It was all how to counter the Krasue. And that is obviously very problematic for me when I'm playing killer and not survivor. But then I remembered something. A few days into the PTB, Odstarva had posted a long list of how to play the Krasue over on X. Although some of these things were things I already knew due to playing this killer for 4 hours, some of it was very helpful, and here is the 2 main points that helped me a lot that was completely new to me. Number 1, head form is unable to gain bloodlust or break pallets, but it can vault over them. Unlike some other vaulting killers, survivors cannot really face through you and vault back without getting hit, even with finesse. Number 2, there are roughly 6 mushrooms around the map at the start of the match, and at least one of them spawns on a timer, also when you switch forms. I actually think it's very sad that there is no information on how to play this killer and only how to counter her. I wish people weren't such crybabies on good killers and would also just play them. I feel like if you play this killer, it would be a lot easier to counter her as well. In hour 6, I noticed that I'd be very laid back until there were only 2 gens left. Then suddenly I'd become very aggressive in my playstyle and remembered that I also had to jump patrol, not just chase. This became a thing all the way into hour 7, where the games became more aggressive in the end game actually because of my add-ons. And if you're wondering which add-on I'm talking about, it is this one. When the X gates are powered, all survivors are afflicted with Leeched 1. Glowing fungi begin to decay, and activating head form no longer creates new glowing fungi. This means in endgame that if the survivors aren't quick to finding glowing fungus to clean the leech status effect off of themselves, they can never do it and they just have to leave. And if they don't leave, that means that they're going to be broken, and it doesn't matter whether you catch them in head or human form. And this add-on did wonders for me in pretty much every single match, except for this one where I let this Michaela and Ellen Ripley get the best of me and I got a little angry. Or, I mean, I don't know if I would call it anger.
Fucking degenerate ass fucking loser bitch.
Halfway through my 8 hours of doing this, the Krasue got her first ever nerf. I'll put it on the screen here for those of you who would like to go back and read it. Honestly, these are from like a week back. It's currently the 7th of October, so she is getting a new round of nerfs today actually. I believe that these nerfs were very insignificant to her character. I didn't really notice anything different when these nerfs dropped into the live game rather than just obviously the forums. I didn't notice anything different. I don't still. I just really hope that the nerfs that are dropping today at the time of recording will not kill her, will not make her the second school merchant of Deadbydaylight. She really deserves better than that. And I will go a little bit more into depth about how I feel about her, how I feel about the community's response to her, specifically Twitter, a little bit later in the video. But yeah, that's her changes that are relevant to right now. Obviously, any future updates to her, even if it is today, won't matter for this video, of course, which is what sucks about doing these kinds of things. When a new killer drops, they're gonna get nerfed in the middle of it, which sucks, but I mean, that's just something you have to deal with. And again, these nerfs weren't that significant. I think we can all agree on that. Other than that, I was in the same pattern as I was previously. The survivors did the generators very efficiently in the beginning of the match, but when they hit 3 or 2 gens left, they would slack off and I would dominate in endgame. The matches that you're seeing right now were directly after the nerfs hit the live servers. So as you can see, I was still doing very good in endgame, not that good in early game, so the nerfs weren't that significant, at least not to me in my playstyle. And hour 9 was pretty much the same. The nerfs hadn't killed me. At least not yet, girl. Let's not jinx it. And I was having a lot of really good games, to be honest. I was having a lot of fun. Even in the games where I didn't get the full pot of kills, I was still having a lot of fun and I still got a lot of hooks, and I would say this was a win for me. Queuing up was exciting for me and I was happy to start around as killer. Unfortunately, this is actually rarely the case. I find killers so intimidating. But this killer gave me that, and that was so satisfying, which is again why I hope they don't kill her and make her the second school merchant. In hour 10, it was pretty much a constant 50-50. Either I had intense yet fun games that ended in a 3 or 4k, or I would find that the matches would start immediately off annoying to me and I would land 2 or 1k at most. And in my very last match in this challenge, I ended up meeting some familiar faces from earlier on in this challenge.
Oh, wow. Wow, I've played with all of these people before except for this person.
But of course, the squad ended up giving up for no reason at all. They were in the lead, but still decided to give up just because I'm annoying to go against, I guess.
I don't even think this should, like, count. Because shit's boring.
Specifically, this Laura here gave up for no reason. She did very well against me last time we played together. She should be fine now. She was doing okay in chase as well. It just sucks that this is the people's mentality when you go against a killer you don't like. Instead of learning how to play them, you just give up. You're not going to get any better, boo. And when that Laura also went ahead and complained in endgame chat as if she wasn't the one who DC'd and as if she wasn't the one who gave up when she could have gotten out, I said this to her and I will say it again for the people in the back. Bad killer, yet you DC'd and played bad. Maybe you're just a bad survivor who doesn't want to learn how to counter a new killer who isn't F tier. And I fully, wholeheartedly stand on this still. And I'm also saying it to you people who complain about this killer online and comment on my stuff directly, hating on me for just simply enjoying a new killer. Which brings me to the very final part of this video, my final thoughts. The Krasue has been getting a lot of attention online, specifically on Twitter and on TikTok, for being uncounterable. I just simply believe that this is not true. Is she incredibly strong? Yes. But is she broken, uncounterable, S++++ tier? No. And I honestly just believe that this is just the state of our community. We have so many bad killers that it doesn't matter to us if they're bad on release day or if they're still bad 10 years down the road. It's almost as if we expect every killer to be bad and we want every killer to be bad. But that is not to say that this killer isn't strong. She is strong. Should she be nerfed? Yes, a little bit, but she shouldn't be nerfed to the ground and be buried next to Skull Merchant and Trapper and all of these shitty killers. If I had to pick out one suggestion of mine to nerf this killer, I would say remove the leech status effect when a survivor is unhooked. This killer, you should work to keep your power onto these survivors, work to keep that advantage. I think that should be done. I also think that the cooldown from swapping between the two forms should be increased, as well as the regurgitate cooldown for missed hits, but I want it to stay the way it is for successful hits. And lastly, to round things off, I have a little message for the people online who complained about this killer, specifically you who did it on launch day. I don't feel sorry for you, and I don't think you have the right to speak on any killer's strength unless you try. Specifically, if you decided you hated her on launch day and you still hate her to this day, maybe you're just not trying. Like I told that Laura before, I just think some of you genuinely don't want to counter this killer. I think some of you just genuinely want F tier killers, nothing above B tier. But again, for a game like this to work, we do need some strong killers and we do need some bad killers. And I don't think we should normalize that behavior is releasing bad killers upon bad killers. I think they should aim high and I think we should applaud them when they do. Yes, Krasue needs some tweaks. They are going to tweak her. They're going to continue to tweak her, but let's not force them to kill her in order to keep us. Anyways, that is the end for this video. I really enjoyed making it. If you did too, don't forget to like it and let me know in the comments if there's anybody you would like to see me do next. I'm also live on Twitch 2 days a week. If you'd like to catch me live, you can go in the description and find the Twitch link. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye!